what's up, everybody? Exciting times in Philadelphia sports. We got the, right now we got a first place Philadelphia Phillies team. Had a kind of a tough little weekend, Sean. I mean, it looked like they were going to go down, lose 3 or 4 at home to the Marlins, but a big comeback yesterday. So the Phillies salvaged one yesterday. Trey Turner and Nick Castellanos came up huge.
Mm-hmm.
We got a hockey team that's kind of rebuilding. The hockey Flyers had their draft this week. Michkov is Matvey Michkov is coming over. I know they announced it last week, and today, he put out a statement. So we got big things going on in the Flyers. Probably one more rebuilding year, but things are looking up for them. And then, of course, the big news that broke yesterday, Philadelphia 76ers with all this cap space. I mean, Daryl Morey was cooking, Sean.
Yeah, he loves his guards, I'll tell you that. But we'll get into with Paul George and Eric Gordon and re-sign of Oubre, which is good. We lose DeAndre Melton, like you said to me in the text, which is somewhat of a loss, but I mean, we'll move on. We'll get some key assets.
Yeah, and of course, and then it came out today. Nick Batum left. He went back to the Clippers.
Oh yeah.
I don't think there's anything the Sixers really could have done with that. I mean, it looked like it was like a family type thing. Like I read a report that said that he had family out there still, and or at least his family likes it out there. And like he's got close relationships with like Ty Lue and some of the ownership out in LA. So
absolutely,
I mean, hey, it would have been nice to get Batum back here because he was a nice little fit, especially with your favorite player signed today, Sean, Mr. Crumble Cookie, Tobias Harris.
I was calling him to see if he needed a ride to the airport to go to bum ass Detroit, but no luck on that. But yeah. Good riddance.
Hey, I'll tell you what, man. For 2 years and $52 million, I'll live on 8 Mile.
Yeah. Ain't it something? He shows up when he wants to, but
yeah, 2 years, $52 million, man. I'll stay in Eminem's trailer, bro.
I'll stay in the trailer park. You put me in Flint.
Here we got a couple comments here. Paul Spencer. He says, "Wow, Tatum, 5 years, $314 million, just in NBA history."
Yeah.
And then he says, we got Eric Gordon's that's another guy. Eric Gordon for the Sixers, pure shooter, cheap too. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I feel like fans have been putting Eric Gordon on the Sixers for the last like 5-6 years. Like every year, you look at rumors, and it's like, oh, Sixers might get Eric Gordon. And then now they finally got him. You know what I mean?
I think I said that to you. Remember when he was with the Hornets? I was like, I think he's coming here. And then sure enough, he didn't. But
yeah, so but we'll get Diego's running a little behind, but we'll get into a little bit more Sixers talk when he hops on. But I got my man Sean with me, and of course Diego should be here in a little bit. So how you doing today, Sean?
Good, man. Just chilling. It's Monday. So
hang on, I got another comment here. I got my man Dave Yornell says, "Hey fellas, wow, what a day in the NBA."
Yeah,
you got that right, man. They a lot of people getting paid. How about another one here? You got Klay. I'm looking at the TV right here. You got Klay Thompson.
Very good pick.
$50 million going to the Mavericks in a sign and trade. I think Josh Green is going to Charlotte as part of the deal. It's like a 3-way deal or whatever.
Okay.
So
it's good for Klay. Klay's going to be with Luka, and Kyrie. You got a 1-2-3 punch. It's good to see some fresh faces and different faces on different teams. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The only thing is, like, I guess that makes sense. I don't really get the fit basketball wise though, because I know what
you mean. Yeah,
because Clay's like Clay is what, about 6'4", 6'5", like 2 guard.
6'4", yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, so you already have Luka and Kyrie in the backcourt. I
Yeah.
mean, is Clay going to come off the bench in like a 3-guard rotation, or I would think he's going to start. So is he going to start at the 3? Like I feel like I don't know. I mean, I know Clay used to be good defensively, but he used to guard he would guard either the opposition point, instead of Steph, or he guard the opposition too.
Yeah.
And now if you have Clay guarding guarding the opposing 3, I don't know if I love that fit. I think that's one of those things that looks great on paper, but you're wondering, all right, well, how are they gonna play that out?
Very, very true. From a basketball perspective, you're right. Does it work? So.
Yeah, but let's get back to the basketball. I want to get into a little Phillies here. So, you know, tough weekend.
Yeah.
And it started off on Thursday night.
Yes.
Thursday night might have been the worst loss of the year. I mean, not only did they blow a lead, but then Schwarber and Harper both got hurt. And I'll tell you what, man. When I saw Harper grab the back of his leg, I was like, oh shit! Like
Yeah.
I think for him only to be out 10 to 14 days or whatever. I think they dodged a serious bullet. I mean, because
yes, they did. It could have. Hamstrings are very hard. I mean, you look at Trey. It's something you have to gradually come back from. It's not like, okay, boom, let's go. Nah, it's different grades and strains, but like you said, Joe, we dodged the damn bullet. And even Bryce said it himself, he's never felt that type of pain. And you even seen it, like you said, mid-run to first, he felt it, And thank God it didn't pop, it didn't tear. It's just a strain. And Schwarb's with his groin, I mean, that's common because it's so hot. I mean, we've been battling heat, but, thank God he didn't tear it or strain it real bad, We lucked out. They were saying Harper might be out till after the All-Star break.
Yeah.
Which I'm fine with, but it's next man up mentality for these guys. You got your Dolls, you got your Cody Clemens, your Paches, and our buddy Rojas,
Yeah.
And I like Marshawn. What are your thoughts on the catching? Like the back, like the rotation of Stubbs and Marshawn? I think it's promising. He's no JT, but I like the way he plays behind the plate. Couple missed balls, but other than that, I think he's got a bright future here.
He's got a cannon of an arm. I mean, did you see a couple of those throws?
Did you see that one exactly? Bring that up. He caught it and he sidearmed it, and he gunned the dude out from home to second. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a howitzer. He's not hitting too bad. He's had a few games where he hit pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean Stubbs. I think when JT comes back, I think Marshawn will go back down, and Stubbs will probably still be the backup this year. But going forward, though, it wouldn't shock me if Marshawn was the backup, starting next year. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, with these guys out, like we said, these guys got to turn it up. Like yesterday, it was Trey Turner and Nick Castellanos. They have to, which I call them Nicky Three Buttons. They have to show up and show out every day, not one game. Because that's what we need with these two guys out. Everybody has to lean on each other. So
yeah, I mean that's one concern. I mean, with these guys out, this lineup is really thin. I mean, you look, to me, Pache, he doesn't do shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then Marsh, Marsh versus lefties. Marsh cannot hit lefties at all. So if you look at this lineup, man, I mean, if Turner right now with all these guys out, if Turner, Bohm, and Castellanos aren't hitting, you got major issues.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And, Pache is out of options. And with the trade deadline, like we talked last week, we definitely need a right-hand hitter.
Yeah.
I'm not sold on Lewis Roberts like everybody said. I know he has a lot of power, but there's other guys out there. Like, would you trade for like a George Springer or a Kyle Tucker? You know?
Well, the thing with Kyle Tucker is probably off the table because Houston really started winning. I think Houston's only about 5 or 6 back now. So I don't know if they're going to move Kyle Tucker. Hang on, I'll tell you what the standings are right here right now. I got it right here. Strike that, Sean. Houston's 43-41. They're only 3 games out. They're 9-1 in their last 10. So they're not going to trade Tucker. They're in the race.
Yeah. Well, they won yesterday. They beat the Mets 10-3, I believe, or 10-5.
Uh-huh.
You know, so I mean, it's always his name was brought up. You got your Tyler O'Neill, George Springer, and then I think I sent it to you. Would you pull this trade? You know, the situation with Taiwan Walker, Jack Flattery, pitcher.
It depends on compensation. You know what I'm saying?
I think we give up an infielder, Joey, and one of our catchers.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it depends. It depends on compensation. I mean, I'm looking here at George Springer. Let me see what his contract is because he's 34 years old. Let me just look at this real quick. Nah, you know what? I don't see them going for Springer. Springer is paid through. I think he signed through. Let me look here. Nah, here, Sean. Springer makes $24 million this year, $24 million next year, and $24 million in 2026. At 34, I don't. The only way you're getting him is if the Blue Jay, if he's getting a lot of salary, like Toronto would have to eat a ton of salary.
Okay, hold on.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We got a comment here. Mike Fuji says, "What's good, fellas? What's up, Mike? How you doing, bro? Make sure you check Mike out.
Every
Mike
Tuesday.
has a new football show on Wednesday nights, right?
I believe Tuesday nights, 8:00. Yeah.
Okay, Tuesdays at 8. Okay. Mike Fuji also says, "Are you liking those Sixers moves? I love those Sixers moves. I mean, they got it. They got to do a little more because obviously you can't even field a team right now. You know what I mean? But but getting Paul George, and the other thing is too, like people can point to Paul George's age, being 34 years old, but the guy played 74 games last year, and here's another point about George's age, Sixers have a 2 to 3 year window, really, probably of going for the chip.
Yes.
And, on George's 4th year, that's going to be a $50 million expiring contract. And, oh, by the way, the Sixers also have the Clippers pick, which is unprotected in 2028.
Yes.
So the bottom line is if say you get 2 to 3 good years out of George and maybe the last year, even if he is kind of like, on his last legs, that's a movable contract because, teams may want to take on teams may want to take on an expiring contract to clear up cap, and you have a Clippers pick that could entice somebody where maybe you make a deal in 3-4 years. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. So true.
So, but like I said, yeah, we'll get more into the NBA. A little bit more in the Phillies here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so we were talking about possible outfield moves. Another thing about it's kind of funny. So this weekend was like such a mixed bag because Friday night Christopher Sanchez was so impressive. I mean, he's throwing the shit out of the ball.
Yes, he was a solid 9.
So
And a lot of people didn't think he probably had it in him. 9 innings, solid pitching, like you said. But yeah, you're right. And then, go ahead. You were saying?
No, I was just saying Christopher Sanchez throwing the shit out of the ball. I mean, he may even make the All-Star team. With his ERA.
Absolutely. I mean, you should, because you got to admit, you get kind of tired seeing the same faces in the All-Star games year in and year out. And it's guys like him, the unsung hero that's having a great season, as well as other guys in the league. And, yeah, I mean, Ranger might even start the game.
Well, that's actually what I wanted to get into. So, as good as Rangers been, are you getting a little concerned that the start versus Detroit was mediocre to bad, right? Because he had that one bad inning, and now yesterday he kind of got shelled. Like three out of his 4 last starts, he really hasn't been nearly as effective. And I'm wondering if maybe you talk about some guys could use an All-Star break. I'm wondering if maybe the innings that he's throwing is starting to get to him. And you also wonder if maybe like a few weeks back when he got hit on the hands, I know he didn't miss a start, but he hasn't really been quite as effective since that moment. I'm wondering, what's your concern level on Ranger?
I'm not that concerned as of yet. For me, I would have to see one more start, see what he brings. Is it going to be a shit the bed one like he did the other day with no strikeouts and 6 earned runs? Or is it going to be that Ranger that pitches lights out? That is for me. And also, like you said, it raises concerns. How is his hand still tender, sore? Because he got hit with a line drive right in the wrist or the hand or whatever it may be. But we dodged the bullet, no injured list. But like you said, that kind of lingers. But give me one more start from him and we'll go from there. If it's bad, give him that well-needed rest,
Well, you're probably going to get 2 more starts out of him, right?
Okay.
Because you figure you got this week, and then you got the following week before the All-Star break.
Mm-hmm.
You got a series with Chicago, and then a series with Atlanta, and then next week you got the Dodgers and the A's.
Yeah.
You figure Ranger pitched yesterday, so that means he's lining up for Friday or Saturday of next week, and then he'll probably pitch the following weekend versus Oakland. So he's got 2 more starts. So let's hope, let's hope he gets his shit together. You know what I'm saying?
True. Couldn't agree more.
The other good thing, like I was saying, a mixed bag about the Phillies. The other good thing is, there's still 8 games up on Atlanta.
Yes.
So at least, even with these injuries, I think, what was it, about a week ago, Atlanta cut it to 6 games.
Yes.
All right, so we're still 8 games up. So you got to hope that you really don't want these injuries, like you don't want to let them eat up like 2-3 games in this lead, and then all of a sudden, say all of a sudden like 3 weeks from now you're only up by 4. Well, then all of a sudden you're in a race now again. You know what I'm saying?
True.
And I also want to stay in front of the Dodgers too. I think.
Yeah.
I think, what are we, 3 or 4 up on the Dodgers for number 1 seed?
Believe so, Joe. Yes.
All right, so that's another thing you want to do here. All right, so let's look at this Phillies schedule for the week, and we'll make our little predictions here.
Okay.
All right, so starting tomorrow night, Phillies got 3 in Chicago.
Yes.
Tomorrow. Only 1 day game. I'll tell you, maybe it's just me, but remember when we were kids, the Cubs always played. They always played the day games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I feel like it blows. I feel like it blows when you watch night games at Wrigley. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Because I'm looking here. Tomorrow night, Phillies at Chicago, 8:05. Wednesday night, Phillies at Chicago, 8:05. And then July 4th, it's a 2:20. So you have the one night game. I mean, I'm sorry, the one day game. All right, so and then they go to Atlanta for 3. So a tough 6-game stretch because we really never play well in Chicago. Like even a couple of years ago when the Cubs really sucked, the Phillies went out there. Remember that we got swept?
Yeah.
So with all these injuries, the next 6 games, how the Phillies doing?
I'm feeling confident. I mean, I'm hoping I'm right and not wrong. I'll go 4-2.
4-2, okay.
Yeah. I just like I hope they have this fight in them, with the rivalry of Atlanta. But like you said, Chicago gives us a run for our money. But yeah, so hopefully I'm right. 4-2 I got.
All right, well, I mean, I'm hoping you're right, because 4-2 would sound tremendous. I'm kind of being a little bit of a wimp here. I'm hoping for 3-3. I mean, obviously I'm hoping for more, but I'm seeing
right.
I'm seeing the Phillies can take 2 out of 3 in Chicago, and then just find a way to take 1 in Atlanta so you don't get swept. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know, and I hate sounding like defeatist like that, but it's just that's I'm thinking of 3-3.
Yeah.
Because this line, I mean, if they're going to win right now, it's going to be because of the pitching. I mean, this lineup is just,
Yeah, it's like playing craps or roulette. You don't know what to expect. Yeah.
So that's a tough one, man. So let's all we could do is hope. You know what I mean? When you got Harper and Schwarber and these guys out, all you could do is hope. But I'll tell you one thing, Sean. One thing you don't have to hope for is if you get hurt on the job.
Yeah.
You don't have to sit there. You don't have to sit there and hope to get paid. Make sure you call my man Jason, Jason Fine, aka Attorney Big Al. If you get hurt on the job, motor vehicle accident, slip and fall, workers' compensation, or personal injury claim, he's got 3 offices throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey, 1 in Philadelphia, PA, 1 in Cherry Hill, and 1 in Pittsburgh. So, my man will get you paid, Sean.
Yes, he will.
So, but yeah, speaking. So, like I said, another event that took place this past week. I don't know how into this you were, Sean, but the NHL draft. Did you hear about the Flyers? One thing. One thing is that the Flyers kind of got panned a little bit.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, Danny Briere's been getting a lot of good press, and rightfully so because he's done a lot of good moves. But a lot of the experts' reviews of the draft, was a little underwhelming. What was your thoughts on the Flyers pick? Because some people are saying that they
jumped the gun. I mean, I didn't watch it. I seen all this stuff on my my phone. We kind of traded with Minnesota, I believe.
Yeah, they moved down 1 spot.
So, that was the guy initially we wanted. Well, we trade with Minnesota. Minnesota says, you know what? I like him. I'm going to grab him. They grab him. But the guy that they grabbed at the 13th pick, there was other options, but they out there from what I read and saw, So, I mean, and also I hear he's gearing up for the 2025 draft, with trading the last pick to Edmonton and the wheeling and dealing. So, I mean, just like you said, Joe, they're a work in progress. They still have some time to build and get strong. They got Konechny, they got Mishkov, which is a bright sign in that young Russian goaltender because no more Hart, he's gone. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, the future's bright, but a lot of people gave him a overall D in the draft. What would you have given him?
I mean, like I said, it's hard for me to grade a hockey draft, bro. I
Yeah,
mean, you like
it is.
so they took a kid, took a center by the name of Jet Lukenko with the 13th pick. The kid's 17 years old. I mean, how you know what
And
I
there
mean?
was
Like,
other options. Yeah, you're right.
right, you know what I mean? So like I was saying, like the thing I was reading though was saying that he was, a lot of people had him rated as like the 20th overall player.
Mm-hmm.
But, when you get to 13, 13, 14, 15, like once you get out of what, the top 5 or 6, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's slim pick.
No, but what I'm saying is though, a lot of times it's personal preference. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, if you're sitting there at pick 8 or 9, right? And let's say there's like a consensus top, like say 6 or a 7, right? Or 8,
yeah,
right? You're sitting there like 9 or 10. Well, the guy you have rated at 9 or 10, another team might have rated at like 16. You know what I mean? And vice versa.
true.
You know what I'm saying? So, but the thing I like about this kid, though, they say that he's excellent in the special teams. He's really good at penalty kill,
Yes.
really good at power play. He could really skate. And the one thing this team needs is, you never could go wrong with speed. You know what I mean?
Speed kills, baby.
And especially as I mean, how many years did we watch the Flyers and they were like this big lumbering team, like muckers and grinders and dump and chase and all this shit. And it's kind of exciting to see a change in direction. I mean, between what they drafted this draft, then of course you had the Russian kid they took last year. There was actually rumors that I know the Flyers traded down a spot, but there was rumors going into Friday that Briere was actually trying to trade up to like the 4th or 5th pick.
Wow, really?
Yeah, but supposedly with Columbus, but Columbus, what do you call it? Wanted like too much. Like they wanted the 32nd pick. Like the asking price was a little too much for Briere's liking. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then with the 32nd pick, like you touched on, the Flyers traded down. They traded for Edmonton's first rounder next year. But I think it's like top 12 protected or something like that.
Yes.
But Edmonton, yeah, but boring an injury, it should probably convey next year. I mean, Edmonton's not going to be one of the worst 12 teams.
True.
You wouldn't think, you know what I mean? Unless Connor McDavid, breaks his, tears an Achilles or some shit. You know what I mean?
Kids exciting. I hope that don't happen.
No, I don't want that to happen either.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Mike Fuji here. He says the Flyers parted ways with Carter Hart yesterday. Yeah, we touched on that.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's hard to say. It's hard to say what what they're going to do. With the goalie situation. I mean, you got Arison starting, you got the Russian kid.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
they traded a kid or one of the guys on the Flyers.
Wait, what's this?
They traded somebody over, like they were talking about a player, Forrester. Am I right or something?
What?
They were saying some player was getting traded. I might be right. I might be wrong.
Oh no, you're talking about Morgan Frost.
Okay.
No, they're not. Well, I mean that's rumors. Supposedly there's some teams that are interested in Morgan Frost, but
okay,
maybe he might possibly get moved. But Forrester definitely want to get moved. I mean, Forrester's probably going to be, if you look at this team's top line, like the one thing the Flyers are missing. The Flyers are like a donut.
Okay.
They have a hole in the middle. So, Briere's got to find a way to get a young centerman to center between Michkov and Forrester. And we'll see what happens with that. I mean, maybe with having these 2025 first round picks, the Flyers are going to have. I think they have 3 first round picks, like 2 second round picks.
Yes.
They also got an extra third. So maybe the Flyers can make a move for a young center. I know there's a guy. Pinto that's possibly available. Out there. That maybe the Flyers can make a move for somebody like him, or possibly we touched on this before. Zagras from Anaheim.
Yeah.
He would probably take a couple picks. But Briere definitely has the ammunition, so we'll see what happens.
It looks promising, like we said. We can only hope going forward.
Yeah. So anyway, the future's extremely bright for the Flyers. This coming year, like they're, and I mean, I know NHL free agency started today. I think the Flyers signed a defenseman. Hang on, I'll look it up here. But they signed one of their defensemen that they traded for, to like a 1-year deal. Who was it? Johnson, I think it was.
I think so. Yeah.
So that's the one problem the Flyers got though. They're the Flyers are capped out. I mean, they really don't have any money to make any moves. They did buy another piece of Flyers moves. They did buy out Atkinson's contract. So, that cleared up a little bit of cap space, but they don't have a lot of maneuverability. So basically, I mean, if you look at this year is basically going to be about developing the Russian kid, developing these other kids, and maybe you could find a way to sneak into the playoffs. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, so we'll see what happens. But all right, well, listen, I was trying to wait for Diego to get into this, but let's get into it here. The biggest news of the day, obviously, is the Paul George move. So Sean, I mean, they signed Paul George, 4-year max contract. $49 million to start. What was it? 4 years, 212 or something.
212.
So, what's your reaction? I mean, 34 years old.
I like it, like I said, but before the show, I mean, massively overpaid him. I know age is nothing but a number. This year was his first year of being healthy in 4 years, But, I mean, the guy's talented. Obviously the writing was on the wall. Joel wanted him from the get-go, even when they did that interview and, George is across the way and B's like hitting like, yo, I want this guy. Well, he got his guy, And like you said, we got Gordon. We signed Oubre. The thing I love the fact that we got Andre Drummond back.
Yeah.
That guy is going to, like, really relieve the porcelain doll, Joel Embiid, with some needed rest. He's going to grab those boards, offense and defensively. That's what I like the most, But hopefully, like you said, Joe, we're not done, with maybe some other players, maybe. But, we can only hope. You?
Yeah, well, I mean, I know you touched on the money aspect. I mean, to me, the money is what the money is. I mean, yeah, it would have been, in a perfect world, it would have been nice to pay him a little less because then, I do have a little bit of concerns as far as like how are we going to find finish this roster? Right now, right now you got what, PG at the 3 probably. Or you could start him at the 4. You got Oubre. Of course, you got Tyrese and you got Joel Embiid. Well, you still need a 5th starter. I mean, to me, Eric Gordon is more of a bench piece. You know what I mean? The kid McLean that they drafted Thursday night, I actually kind of actually real quick, what was your thoughts on the draft? Because they
I
took
wanted the kid that went after him, the kid from the Lakers. He's a wing. We needed a wing instead of a guard, but we got a guard that loves doing TikToks.
Hey, you know what?
I mean, it's the way it is what it is. But the kid's talented, so I mean, I heard he just has a great attitude, So it's promising. But who did I want? I wanted the kid from Tennessee because that kid could shoot, and he was a wing, which we really needed, in my eyes.
Yeah,
in
well,
a lot of people's eyes.
Well, McCain can shoot, can shoot too. But the concern I have with him is the fact that he's only 6'2". So you wonder you kind of wonder, okay, well, Maxi's only like 6'6", 6'1". So it's going to be hard to play those two together. You know what I mean? But when you're sitting there with the 16th pick, even if McCain is only like a bench guy. It's at 16. If he comes in, bangs you out some threes, that's a good pick for the 16th pick. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I look at it like this, like, you figure regular season, Maxi's going to play 32, 33 minutes a night. Yeah. So this kid could play like 14, 15 minutes there. And then you play the two of them together, 4 or 5 minutes, sprinkle it in, and McCain gets 20 minutes a night. You know what I'm saying? I think you could find a way to do that.
Well, who else is out there that we could get, to start with the start?
So the problem is the Sixers don't have a lot of cap space. I mean, they do, like Paul Reed right now. If they bring Paul Reed back, he makes about $7 million. So you could either cut him and use that $7 million on somebody, or maybe you could trade Paul Reed for somebody. Like here's a thought: maybe you trade Paul Reed and attach a pick with him to the Nets for like a Dorian Finney-Smith. And he could play. He could play a little stretch for. A guy like a Finney-Smith could possibly play a stretch for or whatever. So maybe that's a move. I wouldn't mind bringing Marcus Morris back, Sean. I mean, I feel like Marcus Morris would be, like he would be a good. He would be a good. I mean, it seemed like he liked it here last year. You bring him in, he bangs out some boards. He could hit an open. He could hit a corner three. He'd probably only be a vet minimum. Kind of hoping Kyle. I think they're hoping Kyle Lowry comes back. Why is there? That's so funny. There keeps being a thumbs up.
Hey, keep them coming. Thumbs up, man.
I know. It's like it's like the computer's agreeing with me or something.
Keep it going, Joe. Hey,
but
it's all good. No, but you're right. That makes sense. Dorian Finney-Smith. Just get like a serviceable guy that fits the team, fits the scheme, and fits the rotation. I'm all for it, like you said.
Yeah. So he's out there. Maybe Kyle Lowry comes back, but I was seeing that Phoenix might have some interest in him. There's guys out there too. I mean, right now, not everybody's going to get paid. Like there's Gary Trent Jr. Was making I think like $18 million a year last year, and he's not going to get that. So maybe he could come in on the vet. A guy like him could come in on a vet min. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Campaign. Maybe you bring him back. I mean, there's moves the Sixers can make, but they're going to have to find a way to, I mean, shit. I mean, you need more than 6-7 guys. You know what I mean? So they're going to sign guys. I actually think that maybe Ricky Council might get some tick this year.
He should. That one playoff game, he was balling. He was determined. He was on fire. He was that pest. But like I said, what do we know?
Yeah. So I mean, I'm like, what's some of your thoughts on some of these other moves? Some of these other moves, like Paul Spencer. Wow. I mean, Paul Spencer brought up the Tatum contract, 5 years, $314 million, and then they paid Derek White too.
Yeah.
And I saw a really funny meme. It had a picture of the it had like basically like Boston's owner, because did you see Boston's owners putting the team up for sale?
Yeah.
So
It
it was
had been since 02.
yeah. So it was basically like a picture of a guy like walking away without a care in the world, and it said like Boston's owner, like maxing out everybody, screwing up all the cap aprons, and then being like, "All right, your problem." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
because that's the thing, man. With this new CBA, I mean, I know some guys are getting paid. Like you saw, Tobias Harris got paid. Some guys are getting paid, but there's going to be some guys that aren't going to get paid that are decent players, and I think that's where Morey's going to be able to make some hay. I think you're going to see some guys, like I said, for example, like a Marcus Morris. Like I would be shocked if the Sixers didn't bring Marcus Morris in for like $1 million. You know what I mean?
You have to, man. You got to bring that Philly toughness in, man. You know. I mean,
there's another guy out there. The guy from Miami. Okay, Cody Martin. He might be a little too much money, but I'll tell you what. Cody Martin. Martin from the Heat. There's a guy I wouldn't mind having. I mean, he's a good 3-and-D wing. You know what I'm saying? Like he's like 6'7". He could bang you out some threes. He's a good athlete. I think it's Caleb Martin, I believe.
Caleb Martin, yeah.
Yes, but again, I don't know if he's going to be too much money. Because the Sixers really only have, if they have one slot. If they cut Reed or trade Reed, that I think they could pay a guy like maybe $6-7 million. Everybody else is like vet minimum deals,
Yeah. Did you see, like, we all saw that LeBron James' son, Bronny, got drafted 55. But Bronny's teammate from USC, he went undrafted. His stats were pretty solid. 15.6 points. Solid rebounds, assists, free throw. Kid gets undrafted. But Bronny, averaged 4.5 points? Come on, man.
Well, yeah, but the one thing though, I mean, I hear you, but and let's be honest. I mean, Bronny James only got drafted because of his dad. I mean, let's keep it fucking 100. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, absolutely, that's what I'm getting at.
But yeah, but by the same token, though, I can't really kill the Lakers for taking him at 55. I mean, who the fuck are you going to get at 55 in an NBA draft? You know what I mean? Like
the kid went undrafted, but I forget who he signed. That big boy from North Carolina State. If anybody knows his name, say it. I forget, but yeah.
Oh, I know.
Robert Traylor. But yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what's funny? The big guy from North Carolina State. I remember around the tournament time, people were saying the NFL was going to look at him to be a left tackle because of his footwork.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, hey, off season just started. Sixers got a lot more work to do, but it's definitely started off good. I mean, Darryl, I think a lot of Sixers fans out there had a lot of questions about what Daryl Morey was going to do. Yeah. And I'll tell you one real positive, we've all had a theory that free agents don't want to come to Philly. Well, I mean, hey, we got the biggest free agent on the market. So, I mean, that bodes well for the future.
So what do you say about that, fans?
Yeah, so that like I said, I mean, that's a big thing for the future. And so I don't know, man. It's gonna be a fascinating few weeks, bro.
It is. Absolutely. I mean, I hope we're not done. I just want to see this team get better, advance farther in the playoffs, not go to the second round and crap the bed. The city deserves more, man. Us fans, we're passionate, man. Through and
Yeah.
through.
What do you think of so I got free agent fever here. What do you think of guy like DeMar DeRozan, like, like you see LeBron's out there recruiting, like you could see a guy
Yeah,
like
I
DeMar
heard that.
DeRozan going to the Lakers because the Lakers just struck out with Klay Thompson. So now it looks like they're going after DeMar DeRozan. So that'll be interesting because he's, I know he's a little older, but he's one of the top free agents out there. So it'll be interesting to see, does DeMar DeRozan leave Chicago and take like a mid-level exception with the Lakers? You know what I mean? Like 13 mil, or does he stay in Chicago and get the bag?
I mean, this day and age, he's going to get the bag. He's going to get that bread.
Yeah, and then of course, I'm watching here, and you see, I'll tell you, I know the Knicks made a great move for Bridges, but they lost Hartenstein today. Hartenstein's
How
a
about
big
that?
deal with Oklahoma City. I'll tell you what, man, that Oklahoma City team. I mean, they were the number 1 seed last year,
Yes.
and they're even going to be stronger this coming year. So
Exactly.
it wouldn't shock me if Oklahoma City could represent the West in the finals next year.
I think so, Joe. I think you're right. They got a hell of a team from front to back, man. Starting rotation, even a solid bench. Yeah.
I mean, you look. Speaking of the Bulls, I mean, I was talking about DeMar DeRozan. Like, what a fucked up management they got. I mean, they traded Caruso for Josh Giddey, who like can't shoot. I mean, I don't understand that. And then you look, you had Andre Drummond. I mean, the Sixers tried to trade for Andre Drummond at the trade deadline. All reports were the Sixers were going to give him 3 second-round picks. Instead, they hold on to Drummond and they don't get dick cheese for him.
Yeah.
So Jerry Krause is probably turning over in his grave looking at what the fucking Bulls management's become.
How about that, man?
So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Interesting few more days here. And then of course, interesting few days there. We'll see what the Flyers do. Sean, I was thinking about talking a little Eagles, but to be honest with you, it's not really too much going on in NFL land right now. I mean, it's kind of like the calm before the storm,
Kind of quiet. You're right. But one thing I do know, I mean, we'll touch base maybe. I just have a funny feeling how he's going to, unload that and get Justin Simmons. I see somehow, some way he comes here. I might be right. I might be wrong. So.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, someone's going to sign him, bro. I mean, he's sitting out there with no team right now.
Even Bruno thinks, come on, dude.
Yeah. So anyway, well, look, I'm actually going to wrap it up a little early here, Sean.
Right.
So Joey's got it. Did I tell you I signed Joey up in the flag?
You did, man. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny. So it's kind of funny because his team is the 49ers.
I know, man.
Yeah. So I was joking with everybody. I'm like, this is the only time you're going to see me cheering for the 49ers. In fact, last week it was funny. It was 49ers versus Eagles. And I was like, this is the only time in my life I'd be rooting for the 49ers over the Eagles,
Hey, you got to do it, man. It's one of those things. Remember back like when we played for YMCA, like you said, you were the Bulls and Yankees. I remember being the Yankees. I'm like, I'm not being the Yankees. But sure enough, wearing that white and blue shirt. But yeah.
Hey man, remember that movie Catch Me If You Can? The one scene where the dad goes, "Why did the Yankees win?" or something. It's like, everybody can't stop staring at them pinstripes,
Yeah.
So, but anyway, all right. Well, I'm gonna get ready to wrap up because I'm gonna head over to that field. But Yeah, so big week. Next week we're going to have a guest. Diego will probably be back next week. We'll get a little bit more into the Sixers. And what are we, Sean? What are we about? 3 weeks from training camp, right? I mean,
Sure. Yeah, man.
Yeah. So we'll start getting a little more Eagles talk. Maybe we'll break down some. Position battles. You mentioned the safety position. And look, and I'll tell you, the interesting battle is going to be the cornerback, the corners. I mean, because this team went from having no corners to having possibly an abundance of corners.
And kids that can play, man. I can't wait to get into it.
So, all right, everybody. Well, look, hey, go Phillies. Daryl Morey, keep cooking. Find a way to fill out this roster, and we'll see you all next week. Have a great 4th of July, by the way.
Absolutely.
Happy birthday, America. Great 4th of July. Hopefully everybody enjoys a nice long weekend, and we'll be back next week. Have a good one.